Good morning, Canto 13. Here's my Salvador Dali. Um, Print. I don't know how many of these he made. I think a bunch. The Beauty of Sculptures, which I think is coming up in this canto. It's a pretty nice work of art, though. South Bank Galleries, certificate of authenticity in the back, right? But beautiful thing. I've had that for probably 25 years now. Long time. But yeah, I think he made those prints in the 1950s. Which would be like 75 years, 70 years back. There are other versions of that print online, which are available as well. Okay, here we go. Canto 13, a story. The poets reach the second cornice, where the sin of envy is purged, and here the voice is crying in the air of the virtue of generosity. Presently, they come to where the envious sit, like blind beggars dressed in sackcloth and having their eyes stitched up with wire. Dante talks with Sapia of Siena, who tells him her story. We gain the stairhead where, the second time, a cutting comes to break the mountain flank, which sets us free from evil as we climb. Here, once again, winding all round the bank, a level cornice like the former one, though curved more sharply, stretches bare and blank. No figures to be seen, no image none. Barren the cliff seems, barren seems the way, barren the livid color of the stone. Now, so the poet argued, if we stay, till someone comes from whom to ask advice, I fear our choice may take too long delay. Then on the sun he fixed his steady gaze, and made a pivot, his right hand side, turning his left hand upon its swivel rise. Blessed fire, said he, in whom my feet confide, entering on the new way untrodden quite. As we would fain be guided, do thou guide. 'Tis thou dost warm the earth and give it light. If reason good dissuade not, let us still trust to thy beams to lead our steps aright. We'd gone already yonder, what our skill in reckoning here would call a mile, maybe, and quickly too we walked with such goodwill. When borne towards us came, we could not see, but heard them spirits on the wing, and crying their summons to love's table courteously. And loud above our heads the first voice flying, Vinum non habent, cried, and past he sent the call reiterate, behind us dying. And ere to echo of the first was spent, with distance came a cry, second cry likewise, I am Orestes, and stayed not but went. Father, said I, what is it that so cries? And even while I question him thereof, lo, the third voice, saying, love your enemies. Then, my good lord, this circle doth reprove and scourge the sin of envy. That is why its whip is fashioned from the cords of love. Doubtless, the bridle sounds the countercry. Thou wilt, I think, most likely hear it ere thou reach the pass of pardon by and by. But fix a steady gaze now through the air. Before us thou wilt see folk sitting down, huddled against the cliffside over there. I looked attentively, and further on beheld some shades wrapped up in cloaks whose gray could scarcely be distinguished from the stone. And when we had advanced a little way, I heard them crying, Mary, pray for us, and Michael, Peter, and All Hallows pray. I think there's no man so dispiteous walking the earth, whose heart would not be stung by what I saw, could he but see them thus. For when I'd travel far enough along to make their features plainly visible, the heavy sorrow from my eyes was wrung. It seemed coarse haircloth clothed them one and all, and each one's shoulder propped his neighbor's head, and all of them were propped against a wall. In just that way the blind who lacked for bread sat at the pardons, begging for their need, pillowing each other, all their sufferings spread before the passer-by, that he may heed more quickly, moved not only by their speech, but by their piteous looks, which likewise plead. And as no prophet of the sun can reach blind men, so with the aforesaid shades the fire of heaven is niggard of his light to each. For all their eyelids with their iron wire are stitched and sealed, as to a wild young hawk that won't be still men do to quiet her. It seemed a kind of outrage thus to walk, staring at them, when they could not see me. I turned to my wise mentor, but of talk there was no need, for he right easily guessed what the dumb would say, nor stayed for it. Speak to the point and briefly, please, said he. Virgil was now abreast of me, to wit, that side of the cornice whence, if you misstepped, you'd fall, since there's no girding parapet. My other side, the praying shallows kept their places still, and though the ghastly seam, squeezing slow drops to bathe their cheeks, they wept. O people, I began, being turned to them, assured of looking on that one great good your heart desire, the heavenly light supreme. So may grace quickly scour away the mud of conscience, that through channels clean and clear, remember its stream, may pour its crystal flood. Tell me, 'twill be most kind to me and dear, is any Latin with you? If there be, it may be good for him that I should hear. O brother mine, citizens all are we of one true city, any thou wilt say, that lived a sojourner in Italy. This answer seemed to come from one who lay somewhat ahead of where I was. I threw my own voice, therefore, rather more that way. And there a spirit came within my view, who looked expectant. How? Did you exclaim? She tilted up her chin, as blind folk do. Spirit, learning to soar, that here dost tame thy wings, said I. If 'twas thy voice that spake, make thyself known to me by place or name. She answered, I was Sienese, I make my foul life clean, weeping with these amain to him, to lend him to us for love's sake. That I was sapient, no one could maintain, though I was called Sapia, my heart conceived more joy from others' loss than from my own gain. Does that sound too absurd to be believed? Nay, hear and judge if I o'erstate my folly. My life's arch was declining, I achieved. Ripe age, the day my countrymen near Collier joined with their foes, and I prayed God for what his will already had determined wholly. Beaten they were, and fled in utter rout, and there thrilled through me when I saw chase such glee as till the hour I'd tasted not, so that I lifted up my impudent face, shrilling to God, I fear thee now no more, as dost a blackbird for a few fine days. Right on the brink of death, and not before, I made my peace with God, nor could have won me penance as yet for paying off my score, had not a wealth of charity been shown me by Peter Comseller, who was distressed for me, and showered his holy prayers upon me. But who art thou, so urgent to request news of our state, who goest, I think, with sight unsealed, and speakest from thy breathing breast? Mine eyes have yet to be deprived of light up here, though not for long their sin, I said. I casting looks of envy has been slight. Much more, immensely more, my soul must dread the torment down beneath. I'll not dispute feeling that load already crushed my head. But she, who led thee up then, set foot here, if thou thinkest to return below, and I, he who is with me and stands mute, and I am living, let me then pray do, Spirit elect, if thou have over there some errand that my mortal feet can do. Oh, but this is so strange a thing to hear, she said. It shows that God must love thee dearly. Help me then, sometimes, with a little prayer, and by the wish that touches thee most nearly, shouldst thou tread Tuscan soil, report good news of me, and tell it to my kinfolk clearly. Seek them among those Harabrians who will lose more hopes in Talamon than they lost digging to set the alleged Diana loose, though there the admirals stand to lose the most. Okay. The images, the penance of the envious. The sealed eyes. The sin of envy, invidia, differs from that of pride in that it contains always the element of fear. The proud man is self-sufficient, rejecting with contempt the notion that anybody can be equal or superior. The envious man is afraid of losing something by admission of superiority in others, and therefore looks with grudging hatred upon other men's gifts and good fortune, taking every opportunity to run them down or deprive them of their happiness. On the second cornice, therefore, the eyes, which could not adore to look upon joy, are sealed from the glad light of the sun, and from that sight of other men, clad in garments of poverty, reduced to status of blind beggars, who live on alms. The envious sit amid the barren and stony wilderness, imploring the charity of the saints, their fellow men. Because they are blind, the whip and the bridle of envy are brought to them by the voices of passing spirits. Sapia, the spirit who converses with Dante in this canto, is the image of envy's malicious delights in the misfortune of others.